do it. All right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here this morning. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Here.
Master Barger?
Here.
Master Tudor?
Here.
Master Botkin?
Present.
Judge Taylor?
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite Brother Jerry Huffman up from Tate Street Baptist Church to lead us in a word of prayer. Before he starts the prayer, though, I would like for all of us to have a moment of silence. You know, I can't imagine as a parent what Todd Chitwood and his family is going through right now in the loss of their 15-year-old son to cancer. And so I think it's appropriate, he being one of our own county sheriff's deputies, that we have a moment of silence in honor of him and his son, and just be thoughtful. When you get home tonight, man, just hug your family and love them, you know. So this time, let's have a moment of silence. Thank you.
Now, Father, we thank you that you grieve when our hearts grieve. And we pray for the Chitwood family today because we know their hearts are broken. And Lord, we just pray that you would give to them a comfort and a peace that passes all understanding as only you can, God-given. And Father, as this group meets here today, we're so deeply grateful to live in a county, a community of people that are friends and family, and many of us who know each other genuinely care about each other. But we know, Father, that we're here today in this meeting because decisions that are made here affect the quality of life for a lot of people. And so I'm not only grateful to you for our leaders, but I pray that you'd give them godly wisdom as they make difficult decisions and as the county moves forward for the future. I pray for our leadership that you would protect them and give to them, Father, clear minds, because they are humans and they go through difficulties in their own personal lives. And so we pray that you would bring glory to yourself in their personal lives and what they're going through, so that when they meet here today, they too will have clear decisions. And so, Father, we just pray your blessings on this meeting, and may it be to the good of the people of Madison County and to the glory of God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jerry. At this time, Sheriff, if you will, lead us in the pledge.
Would you please stand, face our flag, and pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Sheriff. Guys, y'all had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous meeting. This time I need a motion and a second to approve those, please.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. No discussion. Call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, the treasurer's report. Good morning, Glenna.
Good morning. Earlier, I just wanted to note in the minutes that I handed out the draft jail budget to all the magistrates. That is due to the magistrates just to be handed out to them by April 1st. So that's been done. I also handed out to you the treasurer's report, which normally I do it to the end of the last month that we have, but this one I went ahead and did through today's date, so that you all would have the most current appropriations and revenues to be able to look at the budget with. So this should be 75% the way through the year. As of today's date, 3/27/2018, our total fund budget is $7,189,807.55. As of right now, our general fund revenues are at 78.1%. Our expenditures are at 52.8%. Our road fund, our revenues are at 84.1%, and our expenditures are at 70.1%. Our jail fund revenues are at 84.5%. Our expenditures are at 76.6%. Our CSEP fund, our revenues are at 12.7%, and our expenditures are at 11.6%. Our 911 fund, our revenues are at 93.3%, and our expenditures are at 56.7%. So all are right in line with the 75% or above. And over the next couple weeks, we're going to be working on the budgets, the 18-19 budget. Does anybody have any questions?
Glenn, it's good to see that the jail budget is not at 100%. It's down
Yes.
some from what it usually is this month, so that's a good number.
Yes, we
Yeah,
have
we
some-
went through the budget the other day with Doug and Katie, Glenn and I. I was glad to see, which I've been kind of watching anyway, but the number of inmates being housed in other counties, we're quite a bit under budget from what we projected last year. And we were actually a little over budget on state inmates, and so that was a good thing to see.
Yes, maintaining those state prisoners is a plus.
Yep. Thanks, Glenna.
you.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is a proclamation for Arbor Day, and typically Strider is here, but I don't see him today, so I'll just go ahead and read the proclamation, and typically he comes and sort of gives an update from the state's perspective. This is a Madison County Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas the Commonwealth is blessed with diverse forests that extend from the hardwood forest of the east to the cypress sloughs of the west, and whereas trees are a sustainable resource providing significant environmental and economic benefits to Kentuckians, and whereas 1/3 of Kentuckians live in a community actively managing their urban forest, spending a total of $6.8 million on this asset, and whereas Kentuckians purchase products from the forest are in a $14.6 billion green industry employing over 58,000 people, and whereas trees enhance our air quality, purify our water resources, protect our soil, supply a source of renewable energy, and provide valuable wildlife habitat, and whereas forests improve our health by offering a place of recreation and solace, and whereas trees and healthy forests enhance the quality of life for all Kentuckians and provide future generations with a more beautiful Kentucky in which our shared health and well-being are sustained by this great natural resource, our forests. Now therefore, I, Reagan Taylor, Madison County Judge Executive, hereby proclaim April the 6th, 2018 as Arbor Day in the County of Madison, and I urge all citizens to participate in the observance of this day by planting trees to beautify our Commonwealth and to focus attention on our great natural resource, our forests.
You need a motion, Judge?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Larry. Next is our Red Cross. Tawanda, you're here to talk to us about our Sound the Alarm project. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tawanda Owsley, and I'm the Executive Director of the Bluegrass Chapter of the American Red Cross. It services 38 counties in central and eastern Kentucky, including Madison County. I am so excited to be here. Judge Taylor, thank you for the kind invitation to allow me to talk about this event that's coming up. On April 28th, the American Red Cross is going to be putting on an event called Sound the Alarm. This event is a community-wide blitz where we will be installing 1,000 smoke alarms in Fayette County and Madison County. So we picked Madison County because you're our friends. So I need your help. We need volunteers to help us with this event. We need volunteers to help us with the installation of these smoke alarms. Our goal for Madison County is to install 200 of those 1,000. 800 would be in Fayette County, 200 would be in Madison County. We're going to focus on the cities of Richmond, Waco, and Berea. We are doing this in collaboration with our kind fire department, even though I just learned that the chief is leaving on Tuesday. So we look forward to partnering with you. We will be meeting at the fire department at 560 South Keeneland, Richmond, here in Richmond, Kentucky. The event goes from 9 o'clock to 5 p.m. on April 28th. So we need volunteers. We'll share the information. It'll be on the city and county's website for folks to register. All volunteers will get a free T-shirt and food, if that helps. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Tawanda. That's
Any
great.
questions?
Have we reached out to some of our local volunteer fire
Yes.
departments too? So they're
We have about 40. We'd like to have about 60 more.
okay.
So we
Good.
do have 40 community leaders that have stepped up to volunteer.
Good.
Is there a number people can call in?
So you can, I included in the handout that I handed you all, and there's actually a volunteer manager that they can call. And they can also call at 859-253-1331, which is the Red Cross main line.
is Rich the,
Rich DeAngelis is the volunteer
Judge, we can
coordinator.
put that on the website,
Yep.
can't we?
Yeah, that'd be great.
absolutely.
I'd love
And
for
we'll
you
put
to
it
do
on our
that.
cable channel. We can just actually scan this in and put this directly on our.
Great, and I know you plan to be there that day, and I love one of those nice proclamations. Maybe I can talk to you about that.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
We'd be glad to do it.
Great, thank you for the
Tawana,
time.
you mentioned the
Yes,
Waco
sir.
area.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the volunteer fire department out there would be willing to help with that.
That'd be great, that'd be great. Do you have a contact name?
I do, I'll get with you later.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Tawanda, appreciate it. Next, rural secondary road presentation, State Highway District number 7. Mr. Blair. Morning.
Judge, thanks for having us here. With me today, I have J.R. Ham, the planning supervisor from District 7. You should have 2 pieces of paper in front of you. One's an information sheet that talks about the rural secondary program, our state primary road system, some contact information, how the rural secondary funds are calculated. I'm happy to answer any questions about that if you have them. That's for your information. The second page, though, is the Madison County specific form. It's got money on the front and a map on the back. The map, if you look at it, is actually a 10-year picture of resurfacing of the yellow roads on our state primary road system, which are the rural secondary roads. Everything that's circled in blue has already been authorized, and with the exception of the 5 pieces of the fiscal year 18 authorization, it's already been resurfaced. Those 5 sections for fiscal year 18 will be done by June 30th of this year. And then the items that are circled in orange is our recommendation of the money that has to go on the RS roads for this year. And then we have a green item, which is a recommendation of flex funds. Turning over to the front page, up at the top, you'll see that you have a 7 to 9 year resurfacing cycle, which is actually among the best in our district. What that means is if you were to put all of your money, including the flex funds, onto the state RS system, you could resurface your county at the current funding rate and the past 2 years of expense. You could do it all in 7 years. If you keep the flex funds, then you can do it in 9 years. Typically, we're looking for about a 10-year resurfacing cycle within all of our counties. So you're actually exceeding expectations. For fiscal year 19, you'll see that your maintenance rating increased from 15% to 20%. The maintenance rating is a grade of the Transportation Cabinet by the Transportation Cabinet of everything that has to do with the rural secondary program. So in the past years, when you had just 15%, we kept a little extra money to try to bring our system back up to our standards. We've gotten it up to our standards in Madison County, so now you actually have more flex funds available to you, and we're using less on our state system. So you'll see that the flex funds available this year are $292,000, up from $116,000. And then the RS funds, which is the money that we have to put on the state system, is $952,000. If you drop down to the orange diamond recommendations of the roads that we have to resurface, then we have 4.6 miles of Doylesville Road, 1.6 miles of Gabbard Town Road, 1.9, almost 2 miles of Menelaus Cal East, and 1.9 miles of Dreyfus Road. These are the roads that I'm looking for you all approving our orange diamond recommendation. This is how we would spend the money that we have to put on the state roads. Additionally, I'm looking for a decision, yes or no. Would you like to put your flex funds back onto the state road system? If you say yes, then we're looking at a 2.9 mile section of Red Lick Road. If you say no, then that money is available for full width resurfacing of your county roads, and this section of Red Lick Road is essentially an on-deck candidate for potentially resurfacing next year, as long as there aren't 3 or 4 roads that become worse than that between now and then. Any questions?
Bart, these were listed as fiscal year 19.
That's right.
When will the resurface on these roads be?
Sometime between July 1st of this year and June 30th of next. Typically, though, it pretty much happens
In the fall.
No, it
No, in the
typically
spring.
happens in the spring.
Okay.
So it would be by June 30th of 2019. I'll likely be standing here next year saying the roads that you approved today are gonna be done by June 30th.
Yeah, it's same as these fiscal year 18 on here, the blue
Yeah.
blue diamond. You know,
Yep.
they haven't been done yet. They're gonna be done by June 30th this year.
And what happens is occasionally a blacktop company runs out of big work. It does all of its big work during the summer into fall, and it'll typically stay busy all the way up until December, getting the big jobs. These are considered smaller jobs. And then when they start firing up in the spring, then they try to take care of all their little jobs. And so typically that's how it happens. However, if they've run out of business by fall of this year, then sometimes they do go ahead and take care of these. So it just really depends on the blacktop company who's got the contract.
So, I'd just like to make a comment on this. The section for 2881 from the Millis Road, Callis, that's in the 4th District.
Okay,
All right, so, and I agree, that road is in bad shape, it needs it. One thing that I'd just like for you to keep in mind as you go on further is that you have, that section runs from where you've got it at Millis up to Duncannon interchange. I'd like for you to consider the Duncannon interchange over to 52, because it's got some problems. It's coming up really, really fast over there with cracked pavement, places where it's dropping, low spots. So that's the north section of where
Yeah.
you're already showing there.
so when you're looking at it, is it still a yellow road?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so, okay, yeah, we'll consider that for next year.
What's not marked on here?
No, it's not marked.
No,
2881.
I'm saying we would consider it for next year.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but that section's not circled, is what I'm saying. I thought when you said, is it yellow marked?
Oh, no, I mean, is it a yellow road on the map?
Yes, it is a yellow road on the
Okay,
map.
so it's a rural secondary road. so
Yes, yeah.
It would qualify for
Yes.
rural secondary funding.
Mhm.
And so typically what they do,
It's the-
especially with something like Madison County, is it's such a big county, they're trying to hit the worst spots, take care of them, and then typically in the next year or two, they'll get back and finish. So they'll get the worst sections first and then try to come back and get another section.
What is that, Tom? You
Well,
think, is that a mile and a half?
Yeah, it's,
For us?
that's a fair guess.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you, you drive the roads, you see them, but that section is the feeder that goes from Duncannon over to 52. It's a main thoroughfare back and forth for people that live on this side of the county, and a lot of them get over to the Kirksville School. So there's lots of traffic on that thing, it's really, really heavy in the mornings and afternoons.
Okay,
So, if you go across it anytime soon, you'll see what I'm talking about,
Okay.
it's pretty obvious.
I will tell you one other thing is typically hopefully about a month before I have a meeting with the judge prior to fiscal court, I try to go ahead and send out what we're thinking about. And so you might be able to get an advance look at it and share with him what your thoughts are, so that when he comes to our meeting, he has an opportunity to maybe have us adjust what we're looking at.
I won't let him forget.
So, okay, that's what I'm saying.
Judge,
Yeah,
Uh,
JR.
is that the road that's over the interchange 52 over I-75?
No.
That's not it? Okay. I was looking at that road right over the interstate is a primary road, so it might not be eligible for funding.
No.
But I got the wrong place, so never mind. I need more coffee.
Question, can you give me any update on Kentucky 1016 and 421 about the intersection?
I think, is that one of the,
I can't give you an update, because I left the sheet that had all the lettings and information at the office, but I'll be glad to write it down and bring it to you. I've got the 6-year plan, the governor's recommended 6-year plan, of course, they haven't passed it, so we don't know for sure what they're doing.
I think that was in the,
Well, I
thought
know
that
you
was-
told me you thought it was, and I
But
thought,
it-
well,
it-
I thought
it might
maybe I'm
be,
gonna ask.
it's a dangerous intersection there,
Oh,
you know.
so what we'll do is when we get back, we'll find out the answer, we'll send it to the
Send it
judge,
to me,
Okay.
yeah, I'll
and then
get it.
he'll get it
Thank
to
you.
you.
Yeah, that's a spot we've looked at more than once.
Yeah. A lot.
If you drive through there, you look at 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, yeah.
Lost
When we
Fork
did-
Road,
When we did a study of all the
Third.
roads in Madison County, Berea and Richmond that needed, work, that was one of the spots that we had in that study too, I
I
believe.
appreciate that, thank you.
3377 Lost Fork Road.
What is it that you're asking?
Well, I know the road probably is not in bad shape as far as torn up, but the width of it, the danger of it, the ditch lines, and, I mean, I know it's circled on here. You got any idea what their plans are, or time frame or whatever?
It's a blue road, comes in off of, it's circled in blue, comes in off 627.
Okay, 33 what?
77, I think it was.
Uh,
Yeah, 3377.
Okay,
That's where the new school's being built, and that's,
that
the road
from,
just
that we
passed.
did in fiscal year 11,
uh-huh.
that section? I would say, I mean, it was done, so we resurfaced it 7 years ago.
well, that's what I say, the road's not in bad shape, but it's so narrow, and the ditch lines are,
Well, okay, so here's what we would do is, whenever whenever it's more than, say, I like to use an illustration of a house. With your house, you can put a coat of paint on it, you can change a window or a door, but if you're gonna change its dimensions, it becomes more money, it becomes a project.
well, I
So
understand
it's the
that.
same thing with the roads, we're putting a coat of paint on when we're resurfacing. But
Well,
if we actually have to change the dimensions, we have to buy right of way, do environmental
I understand.
analysis.
but we have-
So it actually, if you're looking to try to widen it, then this fall, or actually, let's see. Yeah, by this fall, we'll meet with the judge to discuss his preference of projects for the next 2-year biennium. And it could be submitted as a project for Madison County. And so it would start going through the project vetting process.
Well, it's a good cut across for a lot of the farmers with their cattle trucks, and we're getting ready to put school buses on it, and when you meet, it's just not gonna happen. I mean,
Yeah,
Somebody
so
will
if it's something like, if you have basically roadway straightening, changes in dimension, those kind of things that we consider projects, you should let the judge know so that we can go ahead and get them onto the Madison County list. My email is on that information sheet,
okay,
and so you could send it to me also.
all right.
Remind, on the back page, for additional information, contact Brett Blair.
Circle it right there.
Okay.
So you could also send that information to me via email, and I will get it into your folder for Madison County, and I'll just remind the judge that that's a project that we need to review when we do the review of Madison's projects this fall.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Thanks, Brett.
So I
Appreciate
need,
it. Yep,
I need you to approve the
I'm
Orange
going,
Diamond.
I'm going to in
All right.
just a second. If you want to stand there, that's fine, or you going?
Well, I'm gonna get a signed page
Okay.
from you.
So guys, if y'all agree with his recommendation, of the fiscal year 19 recommendation, RS roads in Dolesville, Gabertown, Menless, Cal East, and Dreyfus, I need a motion, a second to approve.
Make a motion that we accept the 2019 roads recommended for RS.
Second that.
No discussion, call the roll.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bodkin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, we will need a motion and a second, to keep, the recommended flex money. So we would be putting a no down that would not go on Red Lick Road, and that we would use that money on our county roads, which is $292,000.
Judge, I'll make a motion, we keep the flex money for county roads.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bodkin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett, appreciate it.
I will trade you. I'll scan that.
Okay, good, yeah, I just,
And send it to you.
thank you,
Send it to you.
Thanks
Yep.
for coming in.
appreciate it. JR, good to see you.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
bud.
Judge.
Appreciate
Always,
you being
always a pleasure to be here. You got questions, give us a call.
We will, thanks. Next is first reading of ordinance 1805. This is a land use change on 3188 Urban Road from RC7 Rural Corridor Agriculture to RC1 Rural Corridor Single Family Residential for a 28.19 acre tract. An ordinance of, I'm just gonna read this. Yep, thanks, Bert. An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 3188 Urban Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, March the 20th, 2018, to consider a land use change request application from RC7 to RC1. The applicant's request stated that their justification for the proposed change being the existing zoning classification given to the property is inappropriate, and that the proposed zoning classification is appropriate and in keeping with the comprehensive plan. A finding of fact was made by the commission that the property is located in an area contemplated by the comprehensive plan as amendable to development and available to sewer expansion and potential growth. And that proposed land use map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan of Madison County. Whereas the Madison County Planning Commission, upon a hearing testimony, made a motion with unanimous consent to recommend the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the land use change request from RC7 to RC1. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has reviewed said findings and recommendation of the Madison County Planning Commission, and being otherwise sufficiently advised, and does hereby adopt the findings of fact made thereby. So guys, this is a tract that's out on Urban Road. It actually sits in between the little medical clinic and the end of the Bluegrass Army Depot fence.
The depot fence ends, right?
Yep, and if you're heading east, it'll be on your right past the fence.
That's right.
Yep.
Didn't have any objection at the meeting for or against. Haven't really had any calls. The planning commission's motion was unanimous. Everybody thought it was a good idea. It's in line with the comprehensive plan. That's an area that, you know, it's in a corridor. It's got sewer. That's kind of where the comprehensive plan wants the development or the growth to occur. They're proposing some single family homes out there, so I think everybody was okay with it.
Good.
Do you think the state will make them put a turnoff lane?
Probably with that many lots. They're looking at 65 to 70 lots.
Well,
that's not in my area, but I
good
would,
straight stretch there, and I know there's a lot of traffic on that road.
That's my only concern, Bert, the traffic coming out of that, and then you've got Rose Trace coming from the other side over there. I mean, you're
typically
talking-
people are slowing down there anyway because they're coming up on that light at Meadowbrook. If they think it might change, I guess they're slowing.
Yeah.
We're trying to beat it a lot of
They were
times.
trying to beat it maybe, but I know they're in the talks right now for that permit, for that entrance
Okay.
permit, but I haven't heard what they're gonna make them do there yet.
I think the state caution like to have that Waco where you've got so many seconds before the light actually changes,
Yeah.
and let them know that the light
Get
is
ready to
getting ready to
change.
change, you
Yeah.
know.
You talking about there at College Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my only concern, is the traffic coming out there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if we approve first reading of ordinance 1804, land use change on 3188 Urban Road from RC7 Rural Corridor to Agriculture to RC1 Rural Corridor Single Family Residential. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, no discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bert, appreciate it. First reading of ordinance 1806 is a budget amendment for 911. Go ahead.
As you can tell, the surplus from prior year budgeted for the 911 fund was for $400,000. At the end of the year, they actually had $645,584.44.
We'll take.
Yeah, so they had $245,584.44 over. The board recommended they would like to take $200,000 of that surplus and budget amend into the capital outlay, as they have some projects coming up that they're gonna need some funding for. So, we just like to do a budget amendment to put it into that correct line item.
Make a motion, we accept the budget amendment.
Second. Were they, I don't wanna put somebody on the spot, but did they specify the outlay and projects?
Chris could probably tell you more about that, but I think it's a CAD. They're gonna have to replace it. They've known this for a while, but it having this extra money will keep them from having to borrow money.
Okay, I understand, that was just a question.
There you go. He's
Yeah,
there.
it's actually the 5-year CAD upgrade that they're gonna do. And we met with Cheryl Cross last week, and there's $400,000 in Homeland Security grant funding that we're gonna apply for, and that'll be a 50-50 match. So hopefully we don't have to spend all that.
Well, they've always, okay,
No,
they've always, been conservative. They look forward to new projects like the new ambulance service in Berea, and, you know, I trust them. That was just a question I had.
No, sure, yeah, absolutely, it's a good question. That CAD upgrades every 5 years. 5 years ago, you took out that $75,000 loan, and then each of the governments were paying their
Paying back, yeah.
principal
Okay.
back on it. So,
That was over
since they
with,
were good stewards,
I think,
this time we don't have
last
to
year.
come back
Yeah,
for the
last
loan.
year.
That was last year, wasn't it?
They don't
Right.
know.
Yeah,
So this time we don't have to come back for the loan, we've got that money sitting there,
Yeah.
which was kind of the purpose of that, so.
Well, I commend them on the job they do.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think I'm criticizing them.
And the second part of that is what's called a power phone upgrade. It's the flip charts that they use if somebody calls in with a medical emergency, what do you do? Here's how you do CPR, and it gives them the specific instructions. They're doing away with the actual flip book paper. That's all has to be electronic now. And it's like a $90,000 cost to have that put electronic and then connected to our CAD. So now it'll all be right in the call when they're looking at the computer screen, they got all that information right in front of them. And it's actually a mandate. It's just one of those things we have to keep up with. But hopefully we get the $400,000 in Homeland Security funding, which will give us most of what we need to be a 50-50 match.
If you don't get the grant, you're gonna continue with the project?
Yes, sir. We're actually holding, we were gonna move forward, but since you can't spend that money and then get the grant money, we're gonna hold off, just a little while. August, I believe, is when the money's gonna drop. So Cheryl should be here the second week of April. Sorry, I guess I'm
But the 911 board has done a great job over the last couple of years of building up their funds. They used to keep around 200,000 in their checking at all
Right.
times. They built it up to where they're keeping 600,000 in there. So they have done a really good
Yeah,
job
we-
managing their budget. As you can see, they're like the lowest, they've only used 56% of their budget so far this
yeah,
year.
yeah, Wendy's doing it, all the staff's doing great out there, they're doing a great job. So,
Well, I'm so thankful for the new facility in Berea, and I know the people in Berea are.
yeah.
And we didn't have to have any increase.
Yep.
All right, so guys, if we approve, first reading of ordinance 1806, budget amendment for 911, on $200,000, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
We already got a motion and a second on it?
Roger and Tom.
Okay. Good
There
job.
we go, Ron. I'm
My little angry bird.
glad I can,
Yeah,
glad
I
I can
didn't
be
hear
of
it.
assistance.
I didn't hear it. Call the
Master
roll.
Combs,
Yes, sir.
Master Barger,
yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bakker.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, we have our Madison County coroner with us today, Jimmy Cornelison. Great to have you, buddy. Always a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
We all are, aren't
That's right.
Yes,
We are.
we? Believe that.
You're the last
Yeah.
man I wanna see.
As long as you can see me, you're all right.
Yes,
Man, I
sir.
appreciate you being here today to give us an update on what your life looks like today.
Yeah. Okay. What I've done is I've gone back, Judge, a couple of years, back to 2016, and just kind of give you the numbers that year and compare to what I'm seeing already this year, so we kind of get an idea. People don't realize, I mean, on a coroner's call, obviously we go for manner and cause of death, deal with the families and things, but that just kind of starts the process. It doesn't stop there. We receive many phone calls about death certificates and people who disagree with maybe what we're doing as far as is it a suicide, is it an overdose, is it a homicide? You know, I'm surprised how many people in Madison County are murdered. I'm sure Sheriff Cole will tell you that. You know, lots of people think there's bad things that'll happen, and we have to go through all those things. In 2016, we had a total of 200 death calls. 136 were natural, 33 were overdoses, 17 were suicides, 11 were accidents, 2 were homicides. We performed 35 autopsies, which we take to Frankfurt. We did 46 additional drug tox, which my department, I'm fortunate to have medical people and ex-police officers and ex-fire chiefs who we've been able to train to draw a drug screen, and send it off so that we send it to Indianapolis. We do nothing locally. I think it keeps the privacy a little bit better. The state provides that. And we also signed 277 cremations that year. That's a lot of cremations. But it's not just a thing of them faxing you a cremation and saying, we need you to sign this. We have to investigate that, because once you, as you well know, once we cremate somebody, that's it. I mean, you know, you shake hands and pat butts, the game's over when you do that cremation. So we've got to be careful that we don't sign something and somebody's cremated, then when it comes up with big questions. I actually have a cold case from 1993 that I take to bed with me every night, that we may be able to get something going on before too long. And I'm just so thankful that we did not go ahead and cremate that person. We were able to locate who they were, and as Sheriff will tell you, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. But hopefully we might be able to prove something before too long on this case. So, but in 2017, we did a total of 228 death calls, 40 overdoses, 430 other calls for coroner's office through the 911, 8 out-of-county death notifications made. I have a good relationship with the adjoining counties that we have. If someone in our county is killed in their county, they call me, they call the coroner's office, call 911, and we make notifications to the families. You know, I think it's, number one, we probably know where we're going, but they wouldn't have a clue, and it makes it a little bit easier if there's anything to make it easier when you might see somebody that you know instead of somebody from a different county. All right, which brings us to this year. I've already had 60 death cases as of today, 86 other calls for coroner's office through 9/11. I've had 11 overdoses already and 3 that are pending, which I'm satisfied will become overdoses. These do not include bodies transported by the coroner's office. There are many situations where that families do not know where the body is going to go as far as a funeral home, either for financial reasons or for reasons that they're just so mystified that this is a death that has happened that obviously none of them are really planned but unsuspected, and they don't know. So where are we fortunate here in Madison County? I have a great facility. I will tell you that right now. Coroners who come from other counties to see what we have here. The judge helped me with a new walk-in cooler last year, Judge, that we got that, which you have, I know that means absolutely nothing to you all, but it means a great deal to us so that we can preserve that body, you know, in a cooler space where, you know, if the family does decide that they want to have an open funeral and that sort of thing, that they've got it. Plus, what else are you going to do with the bodies? I mean, you can't stack them in your garage, although that's been done, okay? They're still in jail. But it's very, very important that we be able to take care of those people. Now, with Mr. Patterson sitting here, I do want to tell him that, and Judge, I've met with you a couple of times about things on this line, that finding people, we have people who we find dead and there is no identification. There is nothing. There's no next of kin. There's nothing at all that we to go by. You know, one guy that we kept for, well, we finally buried him, came up on johndoe.com, and somebody in was Michigan or Wisconsin, his sister-in-law saw it on there and realized who he was and came down, exhumed his body, and they took his body back up there to be buried. So these things happen, but what I was going to say is I use one of your assistants, Corey Isaacs. He's got quite good at this because we've had so many of these over the past few years. All I've got to do is call him and he said, well, this is what we're going to do, and we'll go before a judge and we'll do this and do that, and he is quite an asset for us. I want you to know that. I don't think those people in the background are mentioned enough in these situations. You know, many, many phone calls. We've got active 911, which means that when the 911 system call comes in for me where all the calls are answered, then they put them into the 911 system. I get a page on my phone as for coroner's calls, as for someone just calling to check on a death certificate or toxicology report. You know, you can tell people that night, I'm doing a tox on them. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks, unless they're real busy. It may take longer. 2 or 3 days into it, I'll get a call, did you get it back? And I understand that, okay? I'd wanna know too, but it's not something that we can just flip over that quick. You know, it's just it's a situation where that it's all got to come together at some point. You know, I have people who come to my office, recently, just a little quick story here, and I've only got 14 more pages of notes. So recently a guy called me and I had pronounced his, daughter dead. And, when I spoke to, the mother, I was told the father was dead. Didn't know that. I mean, how could I know that? She was from the western part of the state. It became just a really bad situation to the point that he called me and asked me where I was. And I was actually on my way to the office, and he said, well, I'm at your office waiting for you. And I could tell right then he wasn't pleased at all. I wouldn't have been pleased either. Just sat him down and just told him, I said, how was I to know you existed? I was told you did not. But here's what we've done, and here's all this, and you're entitled to any information that I have as far as an autopsy report, just a toxicology report, whatever we have. And, you know, I think he left satisfied. He actually happened to be from out home, so it was kind of a strange situation for both of us. But I have a great facility. We have a good vehicle. We have the rescue squad that, in lots of situations, we'll call. They have a driver. They bring their van to us, you know, so we can transport the body back to the morgue or wherever it needs to go. Okay, and we'll work that out sometimes amongst ourselves. One of my deputies may pick it up. It just depends on what time of day or night it is, who's available or whatever. But I have, obviously I have Rick Bates in Berea, who's a retired police officer. I have Carlos Cole, who's a paramedic. Gerald Tatum, who's a retired fire chief. So we have a mix, a real good mix there for people to look at, and you know, we work well with all the police agencies. Coroner's office is considered a law enforcement agency. A lot of people don't realize that. But anyway, that's what we've got. It's busy. It's going to get busier. There are new drugs that are on the horizon, and I talk to these other counties. It seems like to me every time I talk to the coroner in Fayette County, I can get a sense of what's coming through his county, and it's sooner or later going to learn how to swim the river. You know, we're just a little bit behind them, but we see the same things that come this way, and as we get bigger, it's not going to change. It's going to get worse, you know. So what do we do about that? I don't know. That's $1 million question. Any questions from anybody?
How many overdoses did you say in 2018 already?
Already? I've got 3 confirmed and 3 pending, which I will assure you are positive. Okay?
That's it,
11 and 3. 11 confirmed, yes, sir. Yeah. And
11 confirmed.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And three that he
pending.
feels like
You
they're
know,
probably gonna be.
I mean, when you walk in and there's a needle stuck in the arm, but I never go by that until I get it. No, I made a mistake of doing that once, and that broke me to that real quick. That's years ago. So it's a situation where that you know, we're just gonna get busier.
I just have one comment, and I want to thank you and your staff. Y'all always, every time I've ever called or asked something, very professional.
Thank you.
I contribute your staff and you for that. And I never, Jimmy, I mean, you know, I've been around forever. I don't hear anything bad out of the coroner's office. I do the other offices, and I'm not saying that they're not professionals, but I guess every office tends to be different.
Well, I think it does, Larry, and the other thing is I tell my staff this all the time. There's no reason for us to make anybody mad. There's not. Now, do people disagree with me? Absolutely. You know, they'll just say, it couldn't have happened that way, you're wrong. But lots of times, you know, cooler heads prevail, and you can sit down and lay it out in front of them and say, this is what I've got. You know, well, you know, it can't be a suicide. You know, like in 2016, had 17 suicides in this county. You know, and people tell me, this can't be this way. Well, it is, you know, so that's a tough deal. That's a tough deal for folks. It would be a tough deal for me.
Do you see, Jimmy, in any certain quarter, are your overdose numbers any higher than others?
You know, it seems like, Master Bakken, that right after the first of the year, that we have kind of a little upswing, and then it'll slow down, and then of course the summer months, we're always busier the first of the month, you know. People get their checks and things like that. But I mean, you know, it's really, had 2 last week. You know, there's no rhyme or reason or anything at all. Just some strange situations that come up with them, and I just don't understand it. But I don't guess I ever will understand that. You know.
I just wanted to share something with you about your professionalism. Years ago, this was years ago.
Okay.
One night I was going home on 52, and there was an accident out there. 4 kids from Eastern, they had a wreck. And one of the individuals, I was the first person on the scene. And I stopped, and wasn't no time till paramedics and ambulance showed up. And they loaded, took them off. Well, that young man died that night. And the next day, I didn't know that till just a little bit after that, but I came to your office and I talked to you. And I don't know if you remember that or
I do
not,
remember.
but I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Right.
And you didn't know me from Adam, had no reason to, but you were very kind to me and very courteous, and your professionalism, it really comforted me in the things that you told me that night, and I certainly appreciate it. I never forgot that.
You know, you're more than welcome. It's you bring back a quick story of a tragedy that we had on right at the 87 exit, and a couple of young ladies came off the wrong ramp and hit a tractor trailer head on, and it killed both of them instantly, just instantly. And by the time I got there, I mean, the truck driver was absolutely devastated. I mean, so he calls me about 10 months later, and he's still devastated. So we got to talking, and his father was a paramedic in Lexington that I'd known for years. And my answer to him was, did you happen to look at the vehicle that was behind you? You hit the car hit you head on, but did you look at the vehicle behind you? And he said, I did not. There was 5 children in that car. I said, I'm sorry it was you, but I'm glad it was you. And he told me that he thinks he could put it to rest. So we get a lot of those things.
Well, we're pretty much all tied together on this rock, and we certainly appreciate what you do over there for us.
You're very welcome. Anyone else, anything I can answer?
Jim, I know you probably don't have the numbers with you, but you can give us the number of the overdose deaths. Do you have the numbers of overdose that were revived?
Oh, gosh, no. Let me tell you something. If because I'm not involved in it,
Right,
they don't.
that's 911.
But I will, that's
EMT.
Carlos, yeah, if, I used to be involved in it. If we did, I'm telling you, and I'm not saying this because I was involved in EMS for 37 years, but if we did not have those people, and they have been so well trained toward this, I'd have to put on extra help. You all have no idea. We'll hear them 2 or 3 at a time asleep in a drive-through. I mean, you're gonna go get you a double Whopper with cheese, and you decide to shoot up before you go in there, or sitting at a stoplight with your foot on the brake. What's up with that? You know, but yeah, I'm just telling you, there's no telling. I'm sure Carlos can share that with you. It's mind-boggling, these situations. You know, and I've had a death before with someone sitting at a stoplight on one of our busy highways with his foot on the brake, and he's dead. You know, it's just, it amazes me.
I want to make one final comment, and I want the court to understand too what Jimmy does on a daily basis, as far as, you know, looking out for us as the financial arm of county government. You know, and it's hard for me to understand this sometimes, but you know, there's a lot of people that he gets that they don't have family, and if they do have family, the family doesn't care.
They just don't care. Yeah.
I mean, they don't care, and so Jimmy ends up being in possession of this body that's in our mold, and you all, I want y'all to realize how much time and energy he puts into counseling that family member, trying to encourage them to take responsibility that this is a family member. If they still won't, you know, he works with other groups like Corey, I'm sure. He works with other funeral homes to get the best deal for the county that he can. to either, where we've been taking them, Mount Sterling?
We have been for crematory there.
For
Yes, sir.
yeah, for cremation.
Mhm.
But I mean, he puts a lot of time and energy, and he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do that. That's not necessarily in his responsibilities as a coroner. But one thing that I've learned over the last 3 years is that Jimmy Knelson is a partner to Madison County Fiscal Court, and he is wants in the best interest and what's best for this county. And I believe that.
I've always said that, and then when you talk about cremation, that's a tough call because somebody could show up 5 years or 10 years later.
Absolutely.
So
So
I
you got
I don't know how you make it determination.
identification, and we recently, just one off the top of my head, we recently had a gentleman here that we found who was deceased, been deceased probably for 2 weeks, had, the only thing that caught my eye when I walked in is either, number one, he was in the military at some time, or number two, he was in prison. Well, it turned out he'd been in prison for 38 years for taking an axe to his father and his sister, killing both of them. His other sibling lived through it. But, you know, absolutely, family, you know how they would feel about that, you know. But we were able to kind of negotiate things. I mean, they all lived away from here. We have a body in the morgue right now that I've had for probably 5 or 6 months. And last week, Corey and I had already started the preparation, what we're gonna do. Last week, his sister showed up in court. I found her, oh gracious, I can't remember where it was, way out west somewhere. But she showed up. I kept emailing her and saying, you know, here's the deal. And he was in custody when he died. He was off Recycle Drive, the place there. So he had monies. I mean, you know, he didn't serve out till 2030 or 2035. So he's going to be there for a while. So he had monies where he worked and done that sort of thing for me to try to get that money, go out there and say, hey guys, you know, I need to bury this fellow, and he's got money. And they say, you can't get it. I mean, there are certain things you can't do. You know, well, that's the right thing to do. It doesn't make any difference, right, wrong, or indifferent. You're not going to get it. But his sister showed up, and so we're going to, the county will be reimbursed those monies. You know, it just, it's a strange time. It is.
At the end of the day, guys, we've never seen an epidemic like this.
Absolutely not.
This drug epidemic,
Oh, and it's getting worse.
you know, we've never, and we've got to come up with solutions and ways to, and we got to come together as a community and come together how we're going to fix it. So. Well,
it's a sad situation. I always tell there's a family in this county that I have done 3 kids in the same family. That the last time I walked into the hospital to meet with the mother, because they've been bringing to the emergency room, you know, was just the most terrible thing in the world. 3 kids. So today, I'm going to be leaving right after this because I'm doing the Ghost Out in Berea Community School. We're trying to educate kids on alcohol and drug use, you know, and I take the gloves off. You know, I've left there with teachers crying, so be it. But I think we've got to rattle some heads and some brains. We got to do something. It's not working. Yeah. The police can arrest everybody they want to. As soon as they arrest one, I'm sure the sheriff will tell you this, 2 more show up. It's economics, it's commerce. You know, they're making big money. You know, big money. Big money brings problems. Yep. Anyone else?
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, I appreciate
what you do.
Jimmy, I'll tell you this story. You're going to do the Ghost Out over at Berea. State police officer came to school when I was probably in grade school, and he did what you're going to do. He went in and talked about, we didn't have the drug epidemic yet then, but we had the alcohol problems. And he held nothing back on coming up on a car accident and what he saw from the first sight, you know, and went through dramatic details of what happened. And I don't know where that kept me from drinking or whatever, but I never drank when I grew up.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I mean, that
it's
will
a
make,
choice, like everything else.
that will make an impact on some of these young people's lives. They need to know the truth and what the consequences are, and I appreciate you doing that.
If I could change one person's name, it'll be a big in the gymnasium and stuff. I start off real hard. After I spoke for about 45 seconds, you can hear a pin drop because of the way I always start this out. So if we can just save one kid, then we're great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Bye bye.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, Jim.
I understand. Yep. Thanks, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Next is to award the RFP voting machines. This will be Resolution 1804 for the purchase of voting machines. A resolution approving the purchase of voting machines, providing for the payment and security of the purchase, authorizing the execution of various documents related to such purchase, and making certain designations regarding financing. Whereas the governing body of Madison County Fiscal Court, the purchaser, has the power pursuant to Kentucky Revised Statute 65 to enter into a contract with Election Systems and Software, ES&S, for the purchase to provide for the use of the property for public purposes. Whereas the governing body of the purchase has previously determined, and the hereby further determines that the Madison County Clerk needs the equipment as defined in the contract hereinafter described. And whereas the governing body has determined that it is in the best interest of the purchaser to enter into an ES&S hardware maintenance and software licensing agreement not to exceed the amount of $55,540 for a 3-year term commencing from the date of the signed agreement. The agreement will not be financed and shall be paid through general fund appropriations. Whereas the governing body has determined and hereby determines that it is in the best interest of the purchaser to enter into the lease agreement not to exceed the contract sum of $417,684 to be administered by the Kentucky Association of Counties at a rate no higher than 4% as selected by the purchaser. So basically, this resolution is giving myself, obviously with guidance from our county clerk, Kenny Barger, to sign all the appropriate documentation along with purchasing this equipment, and also the maintenance agreement for the next 3-year term. Do we have any comments or questions?
You satisfied with the agreement that you got with them as far as?
Yeah, the agreement for the hardware maintenance licensing fees and other maintenance is about $10,000 a year cheaper than what we're paying now. And again, with this equipment, we're gonna be able to move into, with assistance from ES&S, to move into handling more of the setup function of our election that we're paying a vendor to do now.
And we're, excuse me, and we're getting more machines.
We're gonna have about the same number of machines. We'll have.
But there are more machines than what was bid from the other
Yeah.
person, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
from the other,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah, their solution is to have one ADA compliant machine per voting location, not per precinct, which I won't get into, but that's a workflow. To have someone pick a ballot up over there and then turn around, mark it, and then remember where their table was to go back to the right scanner is trouble.
Judge, I talked to the company that presented the other bid, and like Kenny said, it seemed good up front, but when you compared numbers to numbers, we were getting fewer machines, something like 30 compared to 52 or 55. What do you need, Kenny?
It's 18 compared to 50.
Okay, so there's quite a bit of difference there. Of course, you know, when you compare that much, the price is gonna be quite less, but there's some other things that, you know, didn't add up, and so I was a little hesitant at start. I talked to Kenny and you and some more members of the committee on the voting machines, and I feel comfortable with Kenny's decision here on this.
Tom, you got anything? No. All right, well, guys, if we approve the purchase, I need a motion and a second for resolution number 1804.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 1804.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes,
Master Botkin,
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Just Taylor.
Yes. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks for your due diligence on that. I know you
You're
and the
welcome.
board worked really hard on this and trying to make this happen by
We're ready to roll. Yeah, we got,
May
We got,
22nd, right?
yeah, we got absentee voting starts April 25th.
Yeah, that's right.
Reagan, I did hear back from Keiko, and we did get the 4% for 8 years.
Good. That's good. Good. Next is appointment of Madison County Utility Board. It's my recommendation to the court to appoint Gina Fultz to the Madison County Utility Board. Gina will actually take the place of D.H. Hill, and I always want to thank those that serve. But I want to thank D.H. Hill for serving this last bit. So if I have approval for appointing Gina Fultz to the Madison County Utilities Board, I need a motion second.
So move.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Boykin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Burger,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next is the reappointment to the ambulance board. This would be Dr. Glenn Burkett, reappointed to the Madison County EMS board. Term will go until, it says April the 1st, 2020.
Two-year term.
Yeah, they're 2-year terms. That's
Two-year,
right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Judge, I'd like to recommend Dr. Glenn Burkett to the board of the EMS. I know Glenn personally, go to church with him, and he does a great job on that board along with all the other members of that board.
Yep.
And so I think his reappointment would be very much in due order here.
So we got a motion and a second?
Yep.
All right, any discussion? No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Boykin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Burger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Guys, just for the record, I'm gonna back up here on Gina Fultz. That the appointment will expire on January 1st, 2022. Just for the minutes, if you need that. Next is the reappointment of Randy Rigsby, and actually Randy is the chairman of the EMS board. His term also expired on April the 1st, 2020. If y'all approve
So move.
the reappointment, I need a motion. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Burger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Boykin,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Next is the personnel. This is a new hire in the fire department. Chief?
Good morning.
Morning.
We're here, we're filling a opening we have right now. We've, with Mr. Daniel Winkler, who's here today.
Dane, if you will, stand up.
We're gonna bring him in as a firefighter one, $7.25 an hour. He's gonna start pay period beginning 4/18/2018. His actual first day on shift will be 4/19.
First day is 4/19.
Yes.
Chief, as you know, I've talked to you about Daniel before. He's a fine young man. He's a hard worker. I've known Daniel since he's a young boy, and so I highly recommend Daniel, and I think he'll do a great job for the fire department.
I think he will too.
This probably be your last one, won't
Hey, hold on, we're gonna say that in just a second. Yeah.
So you need a motion?
So I need a motion and a second to approve the hire of Daniel Winkler as a firefighter one at $7.25 an hour, starting on 4/19/18.
I move we hire Daniel Winkler as a county fire department.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Burger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Boykin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Chief, and we can all acknowledge you, man, we appreciate you. This is your last court. I think your last day's next Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Man, I wish you well. I appreciate your leadership and what you've done here in the county for, a little over a year.
Yes, sir.
Man, I wish you well, brother. I've said, and I told you in the meeting when you came in and told me that, man, I'll never hold a man back from bettering themselves, and I appreciate your leadership, and I hope you still spend money in Madison County.
I'll still be working here, so
I
I'll still
know,
be
I know.
paying that payroll tax.
Buy you gas here. Buy
You
you
should
gas
do.
here.
We gotta come through here to go home.
I wanna say I appreciate the court for putting their faith and trust in me for the past year, and the leadership of the fire department. I hope that I've left it better than when I found it, just like Jim left it better when he found it. And each leader should endeavor to do that, and that's what I tried to do. And I hope that moving forward, the fire department will go and do better things. And I think we've hired some good people in the past year, and got over that hump of losing so many to retirement. And I've hopefully done my due diligence with putting good people in place.
Well, good luck with your new endeavor.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
Appreciate
service.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, the judge's report. These are just a few announcements. The Madison County Courthouse and its related offices will close at noon this Friday in recognition of Good Friday holiday. We will reopen on Monday, April 2nd at 8 a.m. So we will be closed starting at 12 noon this Friday, March the 30th. Richmond Lodge number 25, free and accepted Masons, Colossal Country Ham Breakfast will be Saturday, April the 7th, from 7 until 10 a.m. Excuse me, at the Richmond Masonic Temple on South Porter Drive here in Richmond. There will also be a Meet the Candidates forum for the City of Richmond Commission at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, April the 9th. That'll be at EKU's Perkins Building. For planning purposes, please register with the Richmond Chamber of Commerce. There will be a Prevent Drug Abuse rally on Friday, April the 13th from 5 until 7 p.m. Here at the Madison County Courthouse Square. There's the 6th Annual Kirksville Car Show. That will be Saturday, April the 14th at the Kirksville Community Center. For more information, email kirksvillecommunitycenter@gmail.com. The unveiling and dedication of several new interpretive signs at Fort Boonesboro will be Saturday, April 14th at 1 p.m. That will be at the Fort Boonesboro State Park. The ceremony will be held near the site of the original fort. And always a great event that happens every year during Hunger Awareness Month is the annual Empty Bowls Project. Will be Friday, April the 20th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then also that evening at 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the First Baptist Church on the EKU bypass. So it's a great community event. Next, comments from department heads. Anybody? All right. No, we do.
You had half me.
Yeah, he wanted to be last. See, he waited. He paused to make sure nobody else was going.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Phil.
The Madison County Parks, just like everything else, has been a little bit slow getting started this year. The weather's just kind of put a little damper on things, but if you bear with us, we'll get back up and running, get the bathrooms open. And we'll remind everybody, now's the time to reserve the pavilions for spring and the summer. Don't wait for the week before the little kid's birthday because it won't be there. There are some limbs down in the parks. We'll get them up just like every place else, but the trails are clear, and we'll get to it when we can get the manpower to do it. Lake Wheel Green boat ramp's ready to go. I just want to remind everybody that the lake is idle speed only, and please be very courteous of all the neighbors that do live around the lake. Now, about a month, 6 weeks ago, I had a lady come in the office out at the Valley Richmond Visitor Center and say that the first thing she says, Philip, I'm embarrassed to be here. Why in the world would you be embarrassed to be here? I want to show her what she brought me. This is the flag that she had been flying out in front of her house. That don't work. And I just want to remind everybody, if your flag gets to looking pretty bad and you want to replace it, I already had one magistrate this morning tell me he's got 4 or 5 he's going to bring to me. Just bring them out to the Battle Richmond Visitor Center. We'll get them up with the people who do properly dispose of them. A little bit of pride in our community. And the center's open from 10 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, from 10 until 2 on Saturdays. If that doesn't work, call me. We'll work something out and things. Talk about history and bringing it back to life and things. But I'm going to ask a little bit to see how smart you all are. We have to have our training aids. Because whose flag's this? Anybody knows whose flag this is? You can see it? This is probably the most colorful but controversial soldier the Army ever had.
Robert E. Lee. Lee.
No, this is Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong's 7th Cavalry flag. And we all know what happened to him out in the plains of Montana one Sunday afternoon. And he also had 4 boys from Madison County with him. 3 of them survived, 1 was killed. But this year we're going to be bringing a Custer reenactor to Mount Zion Christian Church on Sunday, April the 8th, 2:30 p.m. I know this fella. He does a very, very good job. His name's Rick Williams. He comes out of Southern Ohio. And if you don't think he's any good, he portrays Custer at the Little Bighorn reenactment every year. Of course, all you have to do is take an arrow in the chest and go down, and you're okay. But this is a very good event. There's no charge for it. It'd be great to bring the kids out for a little bit of history that we've got going on. And last but not least, I don't want this to be a downer necessarily, but we have a major historical event in Madison County next Tuesday. Now, many of you all may not remember this, that on April the 3rd, 1974, we were part of the super outbreak of tornadoes that came through several states. I was alive at the time and things, and it is the 44th anniversary. Madison County lost 7 or 8 people as the tornado went across from Poozy Ridge, Kirksville, all the way past Union City. But this is also a time to look back and make sure that weather radio is working. Make sure you got enough things in the cupboard for 3 days in case the electricity goes out. Because the storms are coming. Hopefully we won't have bad ones. This is a little time to think about it. And if you're at one of the county parks, what do? Go to the bathrooms. They're concrete buildings. They're not the prettiest things in the world, but it's better than being out and having a tornado come over that hill. If you ever need us out there, just call us at 624-0013, and we'll try to accommodate you the best we can. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thanks,
all.
Bill.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Comments from Ashers. Larry?
Well, see, we have our clerk and her assistant with us today. We welcome you all here. And I want to thank the road department for what they're doing. Not what they've done, but what they're doing. And they got plenty to do. And it seems like everything's running smooth, especially when we don't have no more snow. The way I heard, there was gonna be no more.
Oh, no.
I hope you're talking to the right one.
Well, that's what the judge told me, so I'm just relaying on what he said, but other than that, I'm just glad to be here and appreciate all the coverage.
Appreciate you, Larry. Tom?
So my comments there just have to go along with Larry's. You know, we've all had storm damage and limb damage, and the road department's down there picking them up just as fast and hard as they go. One thing that I would like to reemphasize is that if you have limbs that have to be picked up, or you would like the county to pick up, you need to make sure that you drag them over to the side of the road, because they're not going on your property to pick up limbs. So I've had several calls about that, and that was the situation, and that's the reason they're still laying right where they were at. So you have to get them to the roadside. County's not going on your property. State's been working on a couple of projects for us that still need some completion to them, but I appreciate the work that they're doing out for us, Brandon. And the same thing, Willie, for you and your people out there. Appreciate them coming by. They were in our neighborhood yesterday picking up limbs. Man, I can tell you the people out there really appreciate that, so we thank you very much. I just want to touch on one thing that has come up, and it's that time of year when it starts coming up a lot, and that is the ordinances for your subdivisions. So you live in a subdivision, you bought a house there, you should know what the restrictions are in your subdivision. And if you own property in a subdivision and then that's being kept up to the standards, and which is in that restrictions, you're going to get problems. You're going to get reports it starts with my headache daily, and then the county attorney's headache starts aching, and then we drag Bird in, and so it's just a big mess. So if you own property, you're responsible for that property to keep it up to the subdivision standards. And last, Philip, I want to thank you for bringing that flag today, because flags for me are just a biggie. And I mean, I drive around, I see them all over the place, and unfortunately, I see a lot on government buildings. And there's nothing that just, I mean, I'm a retired soldier, I've been there. And there's a whole lot of retired soldiers and a whole lot of other folks in Madison County that it really touches bases with. And so, you know, if you've got a bad flag, now would be a good time to go out and take a look at it, and take it down and put old Glory back where it goes and put you in it. If anybody needs me, you can reach me at 200-9765.
Thanks, Tom. John?
Well, there's not a lot going on in the 3rd District other than the brush cleanup and a few culverts and stuff need repaired, and some road needs blacktop. But I want to take a few minutes to thank some of our employees. Of course, Jimmy's gone, but I want to thank Jimmy and his department. The coroners couldn't be any more professional. I went to school with Jimmy years ago, and he's been professional all of his life and continues to be, and he does a great job for the county. I also want to thank Bert and Marty this morning. They bring us recommendations for zone changes and different things about planning and zoning, and they're always on top of everything, and I like to thank them for what they do at the planning and zoning department. And I would like to thank Glenn and her department over there too. Had a little issue when I went to conference a couple of weeks ago down in Louisville. at the Galt House, they didn't have the reservations right, and I called Melanie over there, and she said, I'll take care of it. And she called me back a couple hours later, and she said, don't worry about it, just go in, tell them who you are and what county you're from, and everything will be taken care of. And it was, and I appreciate that. So you all are very professional in your responsibilities for the county, and it is well recognized. I thank you all.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it, Ross.
Few odd and ends, nothing really big, but went to the conference and John was there and Larry was there. And, had some good breakout sessions, I thought. Just yeah, I have to remind that you weren't there. I wasn't there. I just picking on you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
He was in heart.
But anyway, good breakout meetings, I thought. The speakers, Secretary Tilley spoke, and he made a comment that I don't think he meant the way he said it, because it's a terrible situation right now with the jails. And after he gave a big long talk about the jails and how crowded they were, and they're trying to open up these prisons, and he actually said, "We've got room, we just got too many people." You know, well, that's a fact. There's no doubt about it. But I don't understand where he was going with that comment. You know, are we supposed to do something with the people and not put them in jail? I don't know if that's what he was getting at or what. You know, but my concern is they've already opened up one prison. They're going to try to open up a couple more. If they take all the state prisoners, that puts us in the hole worse. We're already in bad shape. Some of the others would probably suffer worse than us because they got more state prisoners. But that's not the answer for us to help pay our bills. Excuse me. Had a gentleman that's on the north end at Clays Ferry. He needed to call 911 and he got Jessamine County. If you live at the Clays Ferry Bridge or somewhere on the very north end of my district, you could be receiving Jessamine County's 911 when you call. All you have to do is tell them that you're in Madison County and they'll automatically switch you to Madison County's 911. But if you don't know to do that, you just think you're lost, you know, if you're in a panic or whatever. But you need to remember that if someone's listening that lives on the north end, it's a simple fix. You just got to tell them. Probably wouldn't hurt when you call 911 to tell them that you are in Madison County, you know, because they switch them. I talked to Wendy about this, and she said, yeah, we switch them all the time, a matter of seconds to do it. So other than that, just it was a decent conference. Like I've always said, when you talk to the other magistrates and the judges from the other counties, that's where you learn what you learn. It's not from the people that's there really speaking. It's got to be the same old thing. They're telling you no money and we don't know what to do. You know, we're just day in and day out. You know, but the people that's there, and I'll end on this note. A few of the smaller counties, and I'm sure the judge has talked to some more of the judges that he knows about it. They're flat out telling these legislatures they don't do something about the pension, it'll fold them. I mean, they'll say, some of them said, we'll just be insolvent. We have no other choice. Can't pay the bills. Smaller the county, the worse it is.
Yep.
That's all I got, Jim.
Thanks, Ross. I will announce the court, we got our discretionary contract back from the State Transportation Cabinet, so we'll be good to go. Actually, I already told Willie yesterday. I believe that amount was about $216,000, wasn't it, Willie? Was it $216,000?
Not 292.
No, that's flex funds. I think discretionary is 216, I believe, on this discretionary money.
206.
206?
206.
206, okay. So it's a little more than we got last year, if y'all remember. I think last year we got about 178, so we're happy to get a little bit more this year. So he's working with the Allen Company on getting that scheduled, and that'll be happening probably in the next month.
Third district looking forward to it.
Yeah.
4-2.
Yeah.
Always go 1, 2, 3, 4.
A little bit, a little more than a lot.
Comments from the audience, anybody? Sure.
Name's Rob.
If you will, come up to the microphone, please.
Morning.
Good morning.
Name's Rob Weebush. I represent your new election equipment vendor, ES&S, and we just want to thank you for the business, but more importantly, we want to thank you for your trust. We're excited to be here with Madison County, excited to be a partner, and we look forward to enhancing the voting experience here, and I think we can save the county some money over a long partnership.
Yeah.
Just want to say thank you.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for your interest in putting in the proposal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. Judd and Kenny, I didn't recognize y'all. You
You
good?
got Mr. Curry back there.
Kenny, you
No,
good?
I'm good.
All right. Mr. Curry,
I travel the interstate
hey,
between
come up to the mic, Mr. Curry, if you don't mind, so everybody can hear you.
cameras or
No.
Yeah.
No, not even.
Huh? No, there's just,
There's no cameras in here at all.
2 or 3
one,
guns.
two, there's 2 or 3 on you, 4. Yeah.
anything. I travel the interstate between Richmond and Berea.
Mhm.
And on the southbound lane, at the bridge, it crosses Silver Creek.
Uh-huh.
This side of the big overhead bridge, it crosses White Station and Menless.
Uh-huh.
The bare metal is showing on that bridge. And you hit that bridge, the whole front end of your vehicle just shakes. And the possibility of cutting a tire. So I'd like some of you fellas notify somebody, see if they can get something done about that this summer.
Sure, I'll be glad to. That'll be the state. I'll reach out to the State Transportation Cabinet.
Alan got me or somebody.
Yeah. I'll reach out to the State Transportation Cabinet and make them aware of it.
But it's really tearing up vehicles. You see the bare metal, and it's shiny.
Okay.
Yes, and just an update on that. If you remember, several months ago, I was on Brandon about that because that actually falls over in the 4th district.
Right,
And
yeah.
they went out and fixed it once. It was actually pretty smooth there for a while,
But
but
it's
over
gone back.
time, it just settles and
Yeah.
it's back to where it was at again, so. But I also saw in a, article yesterday that in the state budget there, they were gonna approve some long-range improvements there to 75 in that area.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
All right, appreciate Mr. Curry's comments. Next is pay the claims, approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. No discussion, call the roll.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Did we make sure we got that, request for payment on the data drops in? So it's part of those claims and transfers? Okay, good. I will give the court a quick update. So we're getting ready to proceed with the old finance building over here for drug court to be the tenant. I told you all when we approved that it would cost between $5,000 and $8,000. It actually ended up costing $11,400. I actually worked and negotiated with the AOC that we would pay $7,000 and they're paying the difference, like $4,380, I think. So just to keep you on the loop, we are getting ready to start work over there on getting some of those renovations done. And we're looking for a target date for them to move in sometime around May the 1st. All right, so just FYI for you guys. All right.
Good negotiator.
Yeah, that's right. To some of you guys, Tom didn't think I was very good, you know, but that's all right. Maybe one of these days I'll impress
I
you.
just saying I got you back.
Maybe.
That's all I was trying to say.
Next court date is Tuesday, April the 10th, 2018. That'll be here in Richmond. Again, next court date is Tuesday, April 10th, 2018 here in Richmond. I need a motion second to adjourn.
Don't move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks everybody for being here.